Hey friends, welcome to my channel. I have an exciting video planned today as I will be drawing Rapunzel in my own style, but with a bit of added flair. I am going to be turning her into a mermaid. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and click the bell so you can be notified every time I post a new video. Now, I will be using these watercolor cards by Strathmore, and as I found in the last video, I really love the quality of these and how they held up against the watercolor. So I'm just going to begin right into my sketching process here. Now, I know it's not May anymore, so this is not necessarily for Mermaid, but it is going to be a super cool challenge to try to create Rapunzel in my own art style. So now I am just beginning my sketching process, blocking out my basic shapes and keeping my lines very light as I'm just exploring her pose. I am planning on a side angle or profile, which is kind of unique and a little different approach than I usually take. It did take me a few tries and the use of my eraser before I was able to draw a side face profile that I was pleased with. Before I even started sketching, I knew I wanted to try something different with her hair. There's all those classic Disney Rapunzel poses with her eyebrows arched and her hair all gathered up from the bottom, but I wanted to focus on the more carefree and thoughtful side of Rapunzel. I drew her with her hands kind of pulling her hair up into a high ponytail, which high ponies are my favorite, so maybe that's why I did it. But I do think it turned out as a really sweet and gentle pose. The way that her hair kind of went off the edges of the card and isn't all shown made it almost appear as if her hair continued flowing further even than we can see. Sometimes this is the best way to add more interest in my opinion, as the whole picture or illustration might not be 100% spelled out or, in our case, drawn out, but it leaves some curiosity and room for the imagination to fill in those blanks. I now lighten the whole sketch with my kneadable eraser and begin on the line art with my Micron in a size 05, which is my favorite size for these illustrations. I'm going to speed through the process of outlining Rapunzel now, but I make sure even though those sketch guidelines are there, that I'm paying close attention and giving extra care to difficult or small places. Go comment down below and let me know what your favorite Disney princesses are, and maybe in the future I'll look at creating some more Disney-inspired mermaids. Okay, so now I grab my Micron in a size 02 to finish up her facial features. This helps me create thin wisps of hair and really helps create those neat eyelash and eyebrow details. I also use this pen to finish the detail on her corset looking top. I had so much fun creating her outfit inspired by her original outfit from the movie. If you have not already guessed, yes, Rapunzel is my favorite Disney princess. Okay, so now we're on to the watercolor, and you can see me mixing up just kind of a basic first layer skin tone for her, and I have my handy little watercolor tester sheet next to me, which is kind of cool to see because at the end of the illustration, you kind of have all of the colors that you've tested and used on that sheet. So I think it kind of goes without saying that Rapunzel's hair is very important. It's magical, golden, and it's extremely long. Her hair is really what she's known for. So I wanted to make sure her hair was stunning. It took a lot of layering of my watercolors to get it to the end result. And to clarify my approach to most of my watercolor layering, a lot of the time, it's not necessarily the darkening of the base color, although yes, I will add some darker shadows later on, but it's more about the layering of depth. I feel that when I go over my first color and layer with different brushes, even if it's the same color, it so helps make a richer and deeper tone. It definitely makes a different texture than just that basic flat wash. So yeah, I would definitely recommend building on top of that first layer of color, especially if it's for hair. So if you already noticed, you're definitely a true Tangled fan, because I decided to add that short brown strand of hair that was cut when Rapunzel was a baby. I actually didn't plan on adding it at the beginning, but I ended up with a short piece of hair by her neck that was perfectly placed, and I just had to paint it in. Okay, so now I'm beginning to mix up and add a color to her tail. I tried to match this as best as I could to the skirt of her dress because I wanted to keep it as close to her original outfit as possible. I then sweep a few loose strokes of light purple wash onto the fan part of her tail, and later on I will add a little bit of pattern to this to make it a little bit more visually interesting, but for now I'm just going back to her tail and kind of creating what looks as if a fold, kind of like what was in her skirt. So this was a really fun thing I decided to add kind of last minute, these dark purple scales going down the middle of her tail. This kind of made it more original and unique and made it more mermaid-like. I then added a light floral pattern to her tail, which is kind of inspired by some of the pattern that you can see slightly on her dress. Later on, I will add some purple stripes kind of over the flowers so it makes it a little bit more subtle and toned down. And then, yes, I color in her little fish, which is totally inspired by her chameleon, Pascal. During the sketching process, I caught myself thinking how realistic it would actually be to have that much hair underwater, and I came to the conclusion that yes, it would be basically impossible. But through our Disney-inspired viewpoint, basically anything can be possible, but I decided to make it a little bit more realistic by adding some seaweed-like laurels caught in her hair. I then add a light blue wash floating around her, kind of acting as a water, adding motion to her hair. Now we come to my favorite part to paint, and that is because I use this gorgeous shimmery gold palette. I add many strands of light gold flowing down the length of her hair, and this really did the job of bringing attention to her hair and making it stand out. I also add just a tad as a light glittery eyeshadow to complement the simple expression of her face. And now I grab my white gel and white Sharpie paint pens to finish off the last details and highlights in her hair. And I also outline her whole body, and this helps make it stand apart and away a little bit more from her hair. I finish it up with some light bubbles floating in the water and my initial to sign it, and we are complete. I am so happy with how Rapunzel came out. I think she looks so cute as a mermaid. Please leave a like down below if you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time.